Now, we already compared the OnePlus 12 and the OnePlus 13 in daytime photography, and I felt like a scenery was needed just for the specific low light comparison between both of them. So let's dive into the video and compare the OnePlus 12 with the OnePlus 13 in low light photography and of course on videography as well. Now, before we begin, a quick rundown of specifications between both of these phones. They both come with a 6.82 inch AMOLED display, 120Hz refresh rate and both a 4500 peak brightness. Resolution is also the same at 1440p. Now, because my version is the Chinese version, it runs on Color OS, where the OnePlus 12 runs on Oxygen OS. It's still a Chinese version, but TradingShenZhen of course rooted it to Oxygen OS. For the CPU, the OnePlus 12 has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, where of course the OnePlus 13 has the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Memory configurations and RAM configurations are pretty much the same. 256GB up to 1TB, 12GB of RAM up to 24GB. For the camera setup, the main sensor is the same. It's a 50MP sensor with an f-stop of 1.6, 23mm equivalent and a 1/1.43 inch sensor size. For the periscope, however, there is a difference. We get a 50MP sensor with an f-stop of 2.6, 73mm equivalent and a 1/1.95 inch sensor size on the OnePlus 13. However, with the OnePlus 12 it's 64MP, an f-stop of 2.6, 70mm equivalent and a 1/2 inch sensor size. Now, for the ultra-wide we get a 50MP sensor with an f-stop of 2.0 and 50mm equivalent in terms of focal length for the OnePlus 13. But surprisingly, the sensor size has decreased. It's the JN5, meaning it's a 1/2.76 inch sensor size. However, results, as you will see, don't reflect that. And then for the OnePlus 12, we get a 48MP sensor with an f-stop of 2.2, 14mm equivalent and a 1/2 inch sensor size, so it's larger on the OnePlus 12. For the front-facing camera, again the same setup, however there is a difference in video recording where you can go up to 4K in 60 frames on the OnePlus 13 where you cannot on the OnePlus 12. But it's a 32MP sensor with an f-stop of 2.4, 21mm equivalent and a 1/2.74 inch sensor size. And then of course another big upgrade for me is the fingerprint scanner, where with the OnePlus 12 you get of course the optical fingerprint scanner, with the OnePlus 13 you get the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. It's more secure and faster. We also have an upgrade in battery. We get a 6000 mAh battery in the OnePlus 13, where we get a 5400 mAh battery with the OnePlus 12. Both however are supported 100W wired charging that was included with the OnePlus 13. So with this first shot, when looking at it from first glance, there isn't a lot to talk about, but we do see a clear difference in color with the red hue on the OnePlus 12. But when zooming in, while you can see that there is noise on the OnePlus 13, it doesn't over soften to compensate for that noise like it does on the OnePlus 12. But also because of that, the details are retained better. Look at the windows for instance, how much more detailed it is, as well as separate bricks retaining more of that color detail as well. Now with this bridge shot, here again you can see that red hue on the OnePlus 12, but also see the lens flare on the OnePlus 12, where the 13 doesn't have that big lens flare on the right side. When zooming into the bricks of the bridge itself, you can see a big difference. The OnePlus 12 has exposure problems with the blue light, where it loses all the details inside that light source, where with the OnePlus 13 it retains that in comparison, as well as details around it being much better. Yes, there is noise, but it's much better at retaining the details so far. And now we're on top of that bridge, and realistically between these two there is very little to comment. You see some small differences between the two, but really apart from that there is very little to comment, apart from little lens flare on the OnePlus 12 where the OnePlus 13 doesn't have that. Now with this building shot, by default I would say both have a very similar color, but out of the two for myself I would actually pick the OnePlus 12, and that's because it has a little bit more natural contrast. It allows parts of the shot to be darker where it should be, like for instance the roof and some parts under the deck itself. It just makes the shot look more like a low light photography shot. And details wise, both are pretty similar, but a bit better on the OnePlus 13, where it has a tad better visibility on the bricks itself, where with the OnePlus 12 those individual bricks are at some parts fused together, making it look like a really long brick. At this test shot I will say the warm tone on the OnePlus 13 is a tad too yellow. It looks really off, also more sharpening on the shot itself. Here I would say that I prefer the OnePlus 12, and if we zoom into the sign as well at the top, you will see it's more readable on the OnePlus 12 versus the OnePlus 13. Last one before I'm showing more pictures you can have a look at side by side. I think here again I do prefer parts of the OnePlus 12 a bit more. It's a bit darker and it reflects the night view a little bit better in comparison to the OnePlus 13. And I'm well aware that that is of course a preference. Also some slight color difference, but nothing really large between these two. And I think looking at the main sensor between these two, the OnePlus 13 overall wins most of the shots. It has more details, it retains that detail, and it doesn't try to over soften some parts of the shot itself to compensate for the noise that you are going to get at some shots. Of course I get that that is also a preference part, but I'd rather have the details with that little bit more noise in comparison than having a shot where it's too soft and loses detail because of it. HDR on. Just want to show this section much better on the OnePlus 13. Now of course you can go to the ultra wide as well on the OnePlus 12. And zoom, 3x zoom, and 6x zoom. Definitely a lot better on the OnePlus 13. Now the OnePlus 12 is limited to 4K 30 frames per second. I will say, doesn't really look like an update, apart from resolution. Maybe in daytime it will be better, but here, apart from the colors, it's difficult low light, but still, it's really soft. Just out of curiosity, HDR off of recording 4K 60 frames per second. Quite a bit low light. Just a little bit more in the light itself now. It's quite dark, hazy, small mist, that's all. Just out of curiosity, HDR off of recording 4K 60 frames per second. Quite a bit low light. Just a little bit more in the light itself now. It's quite dark, hazy, small mist, that's all. Ultra wide time, and in this first shot we have a pretty big difference. Not only is the shot stable on the OnePlus 13, where I waited for the shot to finish just like I did on the OnePlus 12, but the OnePlus 12 sometimes has these moments where somehow we still have some weird movement in the shot itself when it comes to the ultra wide and low light photography. You can see some parts of the tree that are fine, but somehow have movement in it as well. So something weird is going on with the processing here. With this ultra-wide, I think the OnePlus 13 looks really good. It has great contrast, a darker sky, and the fountain looks like it's supposed to. It's a stunning shot here from the OnePlus 13. And then we have the OnePlus 12. Oh boy, where do we even start? The lens flare, the noise in the sky, the way that the light is captured in the water. There is seriously no competition between these two, and I really like the shot on the OnePlus 13. It's excellent. The OnePlus 12 though is just really poor. And here the red hue that we see many times on the OnePlus 12 is much more noticeable. Again, the OnePlus 13 is miles ahead with the ultra wide when it comes to this low light comparison. It again doesn't have that lens flare like the 13 has, where it does have that on the OnePlus 12. And then the colors are much closer to reality and much more details are retained on the OnePlus 13. Naturally, some of that comes down to the much wider ultra wide on the OnePlus 12, but still in terms of quality, it is much better on the OnePlus 13. And with this light shot, just like the main sensor, the OnePlus 13 does have better light control over the light source itself. It isn't amazing by any means, and yes, both suffer from lens flare, with the OnePlus 13 having more effect on it. I would say in terms of approach, they are pretty similar if we ignore the light source itself. However, there is some bidding going on the OnePlus 13. With this statue shot, just again look at the bad red hue that we have on the OnePlus 12. It affects the shot way too much. Yes, the yellow on the OnePlus 13 is too yellow, and that type of yellow definitely isn't nice in terms of color, and it doesn't reflect the low light experience that I had at all, but in turn it doesn't have the effect that the OnePlus 12 has. And in terms of details on the statue itself, both aren't great by any means, but it is better on the OnePlus 13 where you clearly have some details at least visible, where on the OnePlus 12 those details are really hard to read there. And unlike the main sensor, I feel here is the big upgrade in comparison. The OnePlus 13 is miles ahead of the OnePlus 12 when it comes to low light and ultra wide photography. Which is odd because when looking at the specifications, the sensor size is smaller on the OnePlus 13 compared to the 12. It does however have a faster f-stop of 2.0 on the OnePlus 13 versus the 2.2 on the OnePlus 12. But results are results, and shooting in stills between these two makes it that the OnePlus 13 is much better in ultra wide, where it really feels like a big step up compared to the previous year. And I feel like if you like shooting in ultra wide in low light, here you get the biggest step up in comparison to all the other sensors on the OnePlus 12 versus the OnePlus 13. So here we are, the part that most expect the OnePlus 13 to have a big improvement, the zoom lens. And does it? Well, let's discuss, because the answer is, it depends. So this first shot of the train station in Arnhem with a 3x zoom. You see some improvements, but substantial better dynamic range on the OnePlus 13. More details retained as well. Some parts of the shots though for both look artificial. Now when zooming in 6x, the dynamic range is better on the OnePlus 12 compared to the previous shot. But again, in terms of details, the OnePlus 13 is slightly better here. Color is a bit of a mix between the two though. So far we don't see any large upgrades. Well, there are moments where it is. Look at this statue for instance. The amount of details retained on the OnePlus 13 is far better compared to the OnePlus 12. The shot on the 13 is very usable, where with the OnePlus 12 it really isn't with this 3x zoom. And using the 6x zoom, again a digital crop on that sensor, you can see that really well. Look at how much better the OnePlus 13 handles this shot. It's a huge step up. But I wouldn't be honest and make you confused if I didn't show you this shot. The OnePlus 12 did a lot better here. Not only is the OnePlus 12 much more detailed, the OnePlus 13 really struggled with this shot, and it also counts for when we zoom in 6x. And yes, for both I pressed on the part that I wanted to focus on and I have pretty steady hands. But here again you can see a huge difference in terms of quality of the image. But this time it's straight around, where the 12 did better than the 13. And now of course we have the bridge again. The OnePlus 12 does do better with the night view here. And for some reason the OnePlus 13 is the one that has the red hues here, where the OnePlus 12 doesn't have that. And it struggles a little bit with the detail as well compared to the 12. Now when zooming in 6x it's closer between the two. And I do like the effect the 13 has on the lights itself. So with the zoom I wouldn't make any big statements about it being a huge improvement like I said with the ultra wide. Sure, updates can create that in the future it will be more consistent and better, but in general I would say right now it can be a little bit of a hit and miss on the OnePlus 13. If that consistency is fixed, I feel like the telephoto periscope will indeed be a solid upgrade, but that's future talk. I cannot answer something that I cannot see right now. We judge how people buy it right now, not based on future update promises that might fix it, because we simply don't know. Now when it comes to this OnePlus 12 versus the OnePlus 13, and especially in this low light, I feel like we can have much more of a conversation about it being a worthy upgrade if you have the OnePlus 12. There are situations where I feel like the OnePlus 13 is a genuine good upgrade compared to what you had on the OnePlus 12, especially looking at the ultra wide. The processing is done much better even though the sensor size is smaller for the ultra wide compared to what you had on the OnePlus 12. And we know that with phones not everything is about the sensor size. But when it comes to the OnePlus 12 versus the OnePlus 13 in low light there, I definitely feel like we got a genuine upgrade in our hands. When it comes to daytime, I think there you can have a real conversation about preference. And of course the miss out on the minimum focus distance that the OnePlus 12 had, where the OnePlus 13 needs to be 50 centimeters, which is just simply too much. In the end, when it comes to this comparison between the OnePlus 12 versus the OnePlus 13, with daytime in mind as well, I feel like the OnePlus 13 did do some good steps, but there are also steps that I question. Mainly the telephoto periscope situation that is going on, simply because of the 50 centimeter minimum focus distance that you need for the telephoto periscope. I feel like there you lose out way too many shots with the composition that you can take on the OnePlus 12, but you cannot on the OnePlus 13. That crop allows the shot to look more compressed, and it really helps with especially shots of flowers or something similar to that. And there the OnePlus 13 just misses out on that potential, and I feel like I'm missing out on too many potential shots in daytime photography, which is something that I often focus on because that has my preference. So depending on who you are and what you're looking for your phone, the OnePlus 13 can be a really good upgrade. But if you shoot in daytime, I don't feel like there's much need for it. But when it comes to low light, I feel like there you have a genuine upgrade. Either way, I do hope that you enjoyed the comparison between the OnePlus 12 and OnePlus 13. If you haven't seen the daytime comparison yet, of course, link in the description where you can check that one out. And of course, I did a comparison with the Xiaomi 14 Ultra as well. And there again, preference comes to play like everywhere else. But when it comes to the comparison between the OnePlus 12 and OnePlus 13, let me know which has your pick. Before we end this, I really want to thank my members as well. I really appreciate the support of you guys. If you want to become a member, you can by clicking join, but you don't have to. It's more like an option for you to do so if you can and if you want to. Of course, if you aren't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe. Liking the video really helps out, and of course commenting below really helps the video out as well. So I would appreciate a little interaction. It just helps the video out by being pushed in the algorithm, and watch time and so on helps a lot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and talk to you guys in the next.